right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Hello and welcome into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm your host tonight, Cassidy Wood. Big news here in the Berg today. We finally saw it. Aaron Rodgers made his face and known here on the south side over at Steelers HQ. He signed that contract, that inevitable contract we've all been talking about since March. I'm joined alongside Steelers insider Brian Batko tonight. And Brian, this has been a saga that's been never ending, it's felt like. So I think at least now, having him here, having the deal done, everyone can kind of breathe a sigh of relief that the saga is over for now.
Yeah, it feels a little more real now, doesn't it? Steelers tweet out the picture of Aaron Rodgers in their offices signing the papers, putting pen to paper. He's got a wedding ring on his left hand. I know some of the national intrigue, the TMZs of the world were probably all over that one. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers wearing a Steelers hat. He didn't wear a funny shirt or anything. Thought maybe there'd be some sort of ironic design or something, but showing up pretty low key, and I guess he's ready to get started and get to work.
Yeah, and he's rolling with number 8, so his jersey is already available in the Steelers Pro Shop. They were quick with that one, but, you know, we were going back and forth with that. We were really hoping here at KDKA, we were just talking upstairs about it, like, if he came in here expecting to wear number 12, that wouldn't go over very well with a few people. So even though Bradshaw's number is not retired here, I think a lot of people would have been upset with that. So, but then in the same breath, I was like, well, do you really think he's going to roll with number 8 again? I mean, I feel like that kind of has some bad juju from New York. So it's interesting he still went with number 8, though. And like I said, that jersey's already available in the Pro Shop if you guys want to get it there. But I do want to talk about Aaron Rodgers and just, you know, him coming here and just the fact that some people seem to think this is a big answer that's going to fix things. And I want people to remember, just last year, we were having kind of a similar song and dance with Aaron Rodgers when he was in New York. And there was this mention of, you know, Davante Adams and bringing him from Vegas to New York. And there was this big saga that felt like it went on for a couple weeks, whether Davante Adams was going to join him in New York and all of that. And then he eventually did. And everyone thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be the 1-2 connection that was in Green Bay. And now it's going to be great. Well, Davante went there, ended up playing 11 games with him, went like 3-8, I think. You know, he finished in New York 5-12. Like, yes, Aaron Rodgers had a decent run recently from 2019 to 2021, like overlapping that COVID year where, you know, he took the Packers to the NFC Championship game. But if you look at, aside from the COVID years and outside of that, I mean, I don't know. I feel like he's fallen off quite a bit. We thought we might see some magic in New York last year. That did not happen. He had everything. I mean, he was calling the shots. He got the coach fired. He brought in who he wanted to bring in, and it still wasn't the product that people wanted to see. So I just don't know what people are really expecting here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit it, Cassidy. I was a big believer in Aaron Rodgers and the Jets going into last season. If you want to look back in the Post-Gazette archives, Google it, pull it up, 2024 staff predictions for the NFL season, I had them winning the AFC East. I thought Aaron Rodgers was going to go on a revenge tour coming off of that Achilles injury. Obviously, that did not happen. You just laid it out very well there. I mean, all the way down to Davante Adams making his Jets debut against the Steelers at Acrisure Stadium. And we know what happened that night. Aaron Rodgers getting picked off left and right by Beanie Bishop Jr.
Yeah.
So who also was in the news this week, but for other reasons. So, yeah, I mean, I think if you're banking on the potential of Aaron Rodgers working here with the Steelers, you are banking on the protection being better than he had with the Jets. Their offensive line was always kind of shaky, up and down, trying to figure things out. And in a bigger picture standpoint, less of a dysfunctional organization than was in New York. I mean, he was coming there to be the savior to all of their quarterback woes, from drafting Zach Wilson to the Sam Darnold bust. So that didn't work out there. The Steelers are getting him at an affordable price here, hoping he's going to be an upgrade over Russell Wilson and Justin Fields from last season. But yes, I still think it's a leap of faith to project that Aaron Rodgers at 41 is all of a sudden going to be a lot more effective than he was a season ago.
Yeah, and you can almost make the same argument for here in Pittsburgh. I mean, I think, a large part of the reason they're bringing him in here is to fix those quarterback lulls that we've had since really Ben left. So, I think there's still that similar game plan, if you call it that, and, opportunity for him here to kind of fix that. But I just don't see, in my mind, yes, the offensive line maybe wasn't the best in New York last year, but he was calling the shots, and he did have weapons that he was able to use. And look at the weapons that are here in Pittsburgh right now. Are they really that much better? Maybe the O-line is going to be better. The Steelers put a lot of resources into building that offensive line last year, but because of that, there are a lot of younger guys on that O-line. We haven't really seen them at full strength yet. In fact, we haven't seen them at full strength yet. So we don't really know what this O-line is yet. So I just think it's going to be a very, very interesting thing. I've said this from the beginning. I think Aaron Rodgers, if you just gave the reins to Mason and you said, all right, Mason, go out there, let's see what you can do. And now giving it to Rodgers. I think Rodgers legitimately gets you maybe one more win in the regular season than Mason would. I truly believe that, and I stand by that. I think where it makes a little bit of a difference is maybe in the postseason. Maybe I would trust Aaron Rodgers a little bit more in like a playoff game, that type of a scenario. But still, he hasn't been to a playoff game since, 21? So, I don't know.
I think Mike Tomlin's very attracted to the intangibles that Aaron Rodgers brings to the equation as well when you talk about some of that postseason experience there. And, the little things about, being able to operate in a loud stadium if you're on the road, or being able to use your cadence when you're at home against the defense. Those are things that Mike Tomlin has brought up in the past when the Steelers have faced him. And, Mason Rudolph is, physically, I think he can probably move around just about as well as Rodgers can at this stage of his career, but he doesn't have the resume of seeing every defense that's out there, seeing every coverage under the sun. So I think, Mike Tomlin, and to an extent Arthur Smith, are kind of looking for that as well. And I think the other interesting layer to this too is, what will the relationship be between Rodgers and Arthur Smith? Mm-hmm. That quarterback play caller one is always crucial. And, I don't know if Arthur Smith has this reputation as being kind of stubborn or someone who's really set in his ways. I just assume that they already hammered all that out when Rodgers visited the facility.
Yeah, and you know what? We'll talk more about that because I really want to dive into their relationship when we come back after break. Guys, give us a call, 412-575-2600. We want to hear your thoughts and opinions on the Rodgers stuff. Hey, the Pirates, series win, 2 wins in a row. If you want to talk that, give us a call, 412-575-2600. Welcome back. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night from the Steelers. Done deal. There he is, signing that paper, that wedding ring, front and center, though, man. So curious about that. I remember when he went on Pat McAfee, he did tell Pat, I watched that whole press conference, I guess you could kind of call it, when he went on Pat McAfee, but it was essentially just 30 minutes, almost 30 minutes of gibberish, talking in circles. And honestly, the one thing I got out of that is, hey, I'm in a really serious relationship right now. Some things are going on, and we're going to have to wait and figure out what's going on with that, and then I'll have an answer for you guys. And that was essentially his reason, for waiting this long, is maybe that wedding ring. So who knows? Maybe we'll find out. But guys, this is also our question of the night. If you want to scan your phone up there, tap the QR code, win healthy. Where does Aaron Rodgers rank among current NFL quarterbacks? Top 3, top 5, top 10, or outside of that top 10 right now? A lot of people voting outside of that top 10. So, I said before we tossed it to break, Bri, I want to talk about this relationship that we're gonna watch unfold before our eyes this fall between Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers. And I feel like it's going to be very interesting because there was an interesting narrative that came out of last season with Russell Wilson where, maybe in that first Bengals game, he was able to kind of call the shots when they were down there in Cincinnati, and he cooked a little bit. And then after that, they took the play calling away from him, and there was maybe some back and forth. We also know Arthur Smith and Russell Wilson spent a lot of time on Friday nights watching game film together. So maybe there was a pretty good relationship there, but it's going to be very interesting to watch how this one pans out, just because I think might be a little bit of some ego there, and just I think they might struggle a little bit, but I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I don't think it was a good relationship with those two by the end there, and that's a big reason why Russell Wilson didn't end up coming back to Pittsburgh. with Arthur Smith, I think he does have certain philosophies about how to play offensive football. I think he does want things his way, and he's got pretty high standards as far as that goes. But I think he's also someone who, if he trusts you and believes that you're seeing the game the way he sees it, he's going to be willing to adapt and change some of his, schematical philosophies and, give you a little bit more latitude to work pre-snap and at the line of scrimmage when that stuff maybe wasn't there in the toolbox for Russ. I think for Aaron Rodgers, that's somebody who Arthur Smith might say, yeah, I do have a lot of confidence that, he knows exactly what he's doing and he can have a little bit more freedom. So again, I think when Rodgers came to Pittsburgh back in March on that hours-long visit with all of the top dogs in the Steelers organization, they probably did iron out, okay, here's sort of where you're going to have to meet us in the middle. Here's where we'll meet you in the middle. Here's what our vision is for this offense in 2025. And that's why I'm not as concerned about, there being any turmoil between those two.
Yeah, I could see that. Now, do you think that part of that discussion maybe, or maybe not even part of that discussion, but do you foresee maybe down the line Rodgers kind of pulling a similar stunt to what he did in New York and demand that a certain wide receiver or someone like that, comes in here to Pittsburgh? I mean, because we know they're in need. Yeah,
you mentioned that the offensive arsenal is not exactly as good as he had with the Jets last year, where Garrett Wilson and eventually Devontae Adams in the mix early in the season. Mike Williams before he got traded over here to Pittsburgh. Alan Lazard was over there, and I think that's the big one that a lot of people now are watching and wondering. And I think this is, maybe a question for Aaron when he talks after minicamp practice on Tuesday is, are you going to try to lobby for one of your guys to be here with the Steelers? We know how much you value that chemistry. You had Lazard in Green Bay and then with the Jets. And now you're coming to a new team where you don't really know anybody outside of the throwing session with DK Metcalf out at UCLA or whenever that was. And otherwise, you're behind the 8 ball trying to play catch up. Might help to have a guy who's familiar with you and you're very familiar with him.
Yeah, and I mean, the Steelers truly need it because right now, look, Roman Wilson does look good. From what we've seen at OTAs at 75% in shorts, he does look strong and good. And, last year we didn't really get to see really anything of him. So it's nice seeing him out there catching some balls. And I mean, he's still
not a big body. And that's the thing, too. And it's not like Alan Lazard would just be a friend of A-Rod. He'd also be someone who provides a little bit more size, certainly a lot more experience in this receiving corps.
Yeah, and can come in and kind of fill that role. It'll be very interesting to watch how that wide receiver room pans out. As for, this tight end group, I mean, there's still talks, I guess, with Jonnu Smith potentially coming here. I mean, do you actually see that happening? And now with this move with Aaron Rodgers coming, do you think that kind of, I don't know, negates that? Because I feel like that's kind of simmered out ever since Aaron Rodgers has gained traction over the last 2 days, obviously today and stuff. Do you think they're going to kind of hold off now on trading guys or bringing new guys in until Aaron kind of gets a say in it?
I'm not sure what's going to happen with Jonnu Smith. I mean, I do think, we know Arthur Smith loves his tight ends. They had 4 on the 53-man roster all of last season. Michael Pruitt was the veteran 4th option then, and sometimes he was active for game day, sometimes he wasn't, depending on the game plan. Now, if you bring in a player the caliber of Jonnu Smith, 800-plus receiving yards last year, I mean, you're going to have him in a helmet every week, and it's going to be somebody like Connor Hayward or Darnell Washington who loses out. But if that's, their plan all along was, hey, we need 4 guys at this position, and then you lose Donald Parham to an Achilles tear week 2 of OTAs, maybe you do figure, okay, if the compensation is right and it's good value, we think, then yeah, we can still add to this group. And it's nothing against Pat Freiermuth, although I do sort of wonder how would he feel if you're bringing in another tight end 1 type of guy. But maybe that's exactly what they want this offense to be in 2025 now with George Pickens out the door.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't think anyone is really confident on what this offense is going to look like come this fall. But we do have a caller out, Mark, out in Virginia Beach, who wants to talk about the Steelers. So, Mark, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you guys? Appreciate the show. So my question to both of you is, all right, so with Aaron Rodgers, how many more wins or less wins do you think Steelers end up with unless as we just stay with Mason Rudolph?
Yeah, I mean, like I said at the top of the show, I truly believe Aaron Rodgers gets you one more regular season win. I think, and maybe it's recency bias, these past 4 seasons have just been so bad, and I don't see it. I mean, the last time he was able to make it, he made it far in 21, I guess. So it was the NFC Championship game. I think they lost to the Bucks, I think. But either way,
yeah.
You know, I think he still gets you just one more regular season win. Because the other thing too, Brian, is the other guys have to buy in and have to, you know, believe in you and want you as a teammate. I mean, there's something to be said about, you know, locker room, the healthiness of your locker room. And I think with how back and forth this saga has been, and I mean, it's just been such a mess. I don't know if these guys, and with Mason Rudolph coming back, like, I think most of the guys were really excited about that. So I don't know. I think there's an element of humanity and relationships that goes into it where, you know, but we'll see. What do you think about that?
I'll say, yeah, a win or two on the ceiling and a win or two on the floor for Rodgers versus Rudolph. But, I mean, that's really all I see there.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, guys, we're going to head to our last break. Give us a call, 412-575-2600. We'll be right back after this.